Welcome to change. Your tax money is going to be used to subsidize an industry that kills 40,000 people a year in traffic accidents, creates carbon dioxide emissions, and makes us dependent on Mideast oil.
Does America need American cars? If so, how many makers? Should the big three Detroit automakers go down to 2 or perhaps 1 or none at all? They just got money from the feds and they want more. GM says it'll be near bankruptcy after the first of the year. But we taxpayers have already bailed out a lot of the American economy. Banks, brokerage houses, a giant insurance company. Is the car business next? Should it be? We begin with these big questions tonight. Phil LeBeau covers the car business for CNBC and for us. He's with us tonight from Chicago. Phil, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. And while we're talking about this bailout in terms of helping Detroit's automakers, this really has huge implications for the whole economy. Think about this. For every line worker for the big three, they multiply their income and it supports 5 other people in the broader economy. Tonight, there's movement in Washington to help the ailing automakers. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wants money approved as soon as possible to keep the big three from sliding into bankruptcy.
Just days after General Motors warned it's running out of cash, Capitol Hill is ready to step up with billions in financial aid. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will present Congress with a financial bailout aimed at keeping the big three from stalling.
We can't let the domestic auto industry sink because a good part of our economy would sink with it.
Washington and President-elect Barack Obama want to help automakers as soon as possible to avoid a wave of bankruptcies that could cripple the economy. A recent study estimates almost 2.5 million jobs would be lost if one or more of the big three went out of business, potentially costing more than $125 billion in personal income. And auto execs fear potential buyers will be afraid to spend $20,000 or $30,000 on a car built by a company that's broke. But critics say a bailout for the big three may be throwing good money after bad.
All we're hearing from the big three is that they are bleeding cash and that they're facing imminent bankruptcy. But what are they going to do with $25 billion? They haven't really made that clear.
Congress doesn't support this move in a vacuum. Many of their constituents oppose another bailout, especially for Detroit automakers who have lost billions in recent years.
They recognize that what they've done is wrong. They realize that they want to maintain a part in the world economy by producing American manufactured cars. We want to try to help them do that.
Tonight, the White House is non-committal about a bailout package for the automakers, but President Bush has said he is willing to listen to proposals. Brian?
Phil LeBeau starting us off from Chicago tonight. Phil, as always, thanks. Another aspect of the economy, another effort to help homeowners facing foreclosure stay in their homes.
And NBC followed that crap up with some more BS. Note the omission of the words urban sprawl.
We told you here last night about an FDIC plan to modify mortgages to make monthly payments more manageable. Today it was the mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's turn. Our report from CNBC's Trish Regan.
In an effort to stem the biggest housing crisis since the 1930s and prevent hundreds of thousands of additional foreclosures, today mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac announced plans to modify mortgages for homeowners in need.
This streamlined program is meant to reach as many of these borrowers as possible, to give them a chance to save their homes and begin restoring their credit.
To be eligible, borrowers must be at least 3 months behind on their mortgage payments. They must also owe 90% or more than the home is currently worth. For these borrowers, Fannie and Freddie would reduce the interest rate on their loans, making monthly payments more affordable. Loans could also be extended from 30 years to 40, and in some cases, a portion of a loan's principal could be postponed, interest-free.
This new protocol will now be a standard for the industry to quickly move homeowners into long-term sustainable mortgages.
Already today, Citigroup announced plans to reach out to as many as 500,000 borrowers in jeopardy of default, while JP Morgan announced a similar plan last month. But even if banks restructure loans and thousands of Americans avoid foreclosure, millions of homeowners will still be stuck in properties that are worth less now than when they bought them.
Nothing's going to stop the price declines. Prices are down over 20% from their peak, and they're going to continue to decline.
Especially in neighborhoods with foreclosures already on the block.
They're not in a very good situation right now if they're looking to sell their home and they have a foreclosure property right next door, because that will definitely bring the value of their house down.
Meanwhile, there are plenty of people out there that say this loan restructuring program is simply unfair. They question why they should have to pay a higher interest rate when they say they were the ones that were responsible and only bought as much home as they could afford. That said, no one wants a home foreclosure sign on their street. Trish Regan, CNBC, Teaneck, New Jersey.
Amazing. They do stories about the auto industry collapse and the mortgage mess, and they don't say a single word about the most important issue America faces.